fourth. Minnesota down 3. Anthony Edwards drains the 3. Ant-Man. We weren't sure if he was going to be able to play. He was locked in. Now they're up 6. Jaden McDaniels to Mike Conley in the corner. Julius Randle with 21 and 10. Anthony with 18. Jaden McDaniels 16. Dylan Harper on the other side 18. Stephon Castle 17 before he fouled out. Somebody you don't see here is Victor Wembanyama. While he had a playoff record, 12 blocks, he only had 11 points on 5 of 17 shooting. Time now to bring in CBS Sports NBA analyst John Gonzalez and NBA champ and former NBA Coach of the Year Avery Johnson. And y'all, this was a game that everybody was locked in on, okay? Nobody really got any separation until late there for the T-Wolves. They're able to escape, right, with a Game 1 win, Coach. But how much do you feel like experience played a role in what they did down the stretch?
It definitely was experience, and it was the experience of Julius Randle. The Spurs struggled to find the right matchup to slow Julius down. I've been watching Julius Randle since he was a Texas Titans playing in the AAU circuit before he went on to Kentucky for a year. So I've watched him closely. You know, this kid is 6'10", 260 pounds, and every defender that the Spurs utilized on him, especially in the fourth quarter, was too small. Julius Champagnie can't guard him. Vassell can't guard him. Keldon Johnson cannot guard Julius Randle. You have to match up with Victor Wembanyama, especially with him having 12 blocks in this game. But Julius Randle was a problem. Terrence Shannon Jr., who I covered when he was in the NCAA tournament with Illinois. He was terrific, inserted into the lineup. Big 3 from Mike Conley in the right corner with a little over 4 minutes to go in the game. So give Coach Finch credit. He pushed all the right buttons. And then when you have a guy like Anthony Edwards, who wasn't really supposed to play, come off the bench, man, the Spurs got to win game 2.
Oh, man, like what a win for the Wolves, right? I mean, think about all the things that they went through tonight. As you mentioned, didn't even know if you were going to have Ant Edwards. And when he comes into the game, he's off the bench on a minutes restriction. No Ayo Dosunmu, who's day-to-day with a calf. Obviously, no Dante DiVincenzo, who they lost in the last series with an Achilles. They're on the road. They win this game by 2 points. They missed 9 free throws in a game that they win by 2 points. And oh, by the way, Victor Wembanyama, it's a complete no-fly zone in the paint where he sets a playoff record 12 blocks, and still the Wolves come away with the win. You heard Ant Edwards talk about it after the game where he said, we just want to find ways to win. Well, you know, he was limited in this game with the minutes restriction, but he scores 11 of his 18 in the fourth quarter. As Avery mentioned, Julius Randle was really good. You dust off Mike Conley, who was out of the rotation until they had all these injuries. He goes for 12 in that big corner 3, and Terrence Shannon, who was in and out of the rotation, he comes up big. I mean, the Wolves, at some point, guys, at some point, we're going to look at this. When you're talking about experience, Chris, the Spurs, look, they had a phenomenal season, and they're still the favorites to win this, right? But they just won their first series since 2017. And at some point, we're going to remember that the Wolves have gone to back-to-back Western Conference finals and give them some respect.
Absolutely. And that's why they were able to come out with the win and really separate down in those final minutes. But you guys mentioned how Wemby set a playoff record, 12 blocks, since it became a stat in 1973, because I'm sure Wilt Chamberlain had a lot of blocks back in his day. But, Coach, how do you just digest what we witnessed from Wemby? Because it was a masterpiece. I know they lost, but just to see how he affected
a little bit more. And on the other side, you had the Wolves just getting second chance points after second chance points. And in the break, you even heard Mitch saying, hey, you know, what are we doing here? We can't let them have another crack at it every time they have an offensive possession. So yes, Victor Wembanyama was absolutely amazing defensively, but if they want to win this series, he's got to be that two-way player that made him a top 3 MVP candidate this season.
So does this change how you see the series going forward, John, or are you still firm with your decision or your belief that the Spurs will ultimately come out with the series win when it's all said and done?
The Spurs are the favorites for a reason because they were so good at both ends of the floor, right? Top 5 in both offensive and defensive rating this season. And they're deeper. They're healthier. They've got the best player on either team. And you saw what he did defensively. And they have home court advantage. And yet I keep coming back to the Wolves just keep doing this every year, right? This is the third year where I'm like, I thought that they were going to lose to the Nuggets. Nope, they sent the Nuggets home. I thought this is going to be, I picked the Spurs in 5. Well, here they come out on a night when Ant is limited, when again, they're missing 2 of their best guards, when they have to dust off Mike Conley, when they're using Terrence Shannon, a guy who they very rarely use. And they just, and a night when they miss a bunch of free throws and they just figure out a way to win. So I'm sticking with the Spurs because that was my pick. But man, like the Wolves just, I don't know why we keep getting surprised by the Wolves.
I had the Spurs winning in 7. I think we're right on track. But they have to win game 2. It's a must. You cannot go down 0-2. Is it impossible to come back from 0-2? No. But Keldon Johnson's got to play better off the bench. Independent. I look so much further beyond stats in analytics because I played the game. When you've been an NBA Coach of the Year, I've seen it all.
So subtle flex right there. Subtle flex.
Right.
Do it.
Thank you, Chris. So I just think that Victor Wembanyama cannot go 5 for 17 from the field. Look for them to figure out how to get him into some deeper catch situations. And, you know, guys like Mike Conley, I don't know if he's going to score 14, 16 points every game in this series. We know Anthony Edwards is capable. They got to do something with Terrence Shannon Jr. That's going to be a big part. In between these games, this is when coaching becomes really important, guys.
Oh, yeah.
Coaches are going to be up for the next 24 hours. I've sat in this seat before. This is critically important. What does the Spurs get from their coaching staff tomorrow morning when they come back in for practice? What adjustments are you going to make? That's going to be very important.
Yeah, that film review is definitely going to be crucial. Coach Avery Johnson, John Gonzalez, always appreciate the insight, fellas. Take care. So the T-Wolves, when they've won, the best